Hey guys, it's Julia and welcome back to my channel, and long time no see, or at least it feels like it's been a while, but hopefully I'll get back on my game for the new year. But today I have for you guys my top books of 2018. Going over like my list of the books I read, I was kind of shocked because like I realized a lot of things were rereads, which I'm not counting rereads, and just a lot of things I just didn't like. And I read like 120 things this year, and just a lot of them were just like eh, or they were like rereads. So I do have like about 10 books here that I would call some of my favorites that I read this year. So let's jump right into it. And shines. First up here I have like two classics actually. And first up I have 1984 by George Orwell. I read this one for school, and like I chose to read this one for a class, but I ended up really loving it, and you can see all the tabs in it, and I just really love studying it. I love like the concept and like the discussion about security and things like that. The book is about a society where there is this kind of like government called Big Brother, and they monitor everything. There's cameras everywhere. They monitor your thoughts as well. There's the thought police, and it's about this guy and him living in that world, and it's such a classic. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a really interesting read. Parts did drag for sure, but like the overall message at the end had like my jaw dropping. Like the ending had my jaw dropping, so I was just like, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Up here we have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This book is of course just the classic Frankenstein story. It's about Victor Frankenstein and him creating this monster, and we kind of see how this monster affects his life in so many ways and damages his life in so many ways, and we kind of see how Victor goes on with his life after like realizing what he's done. And it's a lot about his thought processes, his relationships with others, his relationship with his monster, things like that. This is another one I read for school that I tabbed the hell out of. I loved it. From the writing was absolutely amazing. I loved a lot of the symbolism, and I just loved learning about this book, and it was just so perfect in my opinion. There's definitely like, I see why people wouldn't like it, but on the other hand, like I loved the writing and the story and the characters, and it was just so good. Up here I have of course a king, that is Misery. So Misery is about this author who gets taken by this girl named like Annie, I believe her name is, yes, and she discovers him like on the side of the road, so she takes him in, and he's like this really famous author, and she's his biggest fan, and she kind of like torments him and tortures him into like writing the sequel to his next book, and you basically follow him in like captivity. Again, so interesting. Such as another thing I tabbed, but such like a psychological book. I really loved the characters. They were really fleshed out. You see our main character Paul Sheldon and how writing becomes like his escape, and we get to follow his perspective as he is drugged and as he is dealing with someone who is clearly not in their right state of mind. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. The writing was great, the characters were great, everything was pretty great. One I have here, these are not in any order by the way, but I have A Very Large Expanse of Sea by Tahira Mafi. This follows our main character as she gets dirty looks at school. She gets judged for her hijab, her religion. It's like a lot of negative stereotyping, and she gets like a lot of she deals with a lot around this time. But then we follow, like then this boy comes into the picture named Ocean, who kind of sees her in a different light and kind of says like stop doing that to her, like stop looking at her in that way. And it's kind of about her relationship with this boy, even though she thinks like she isn't good enough for him, or that like something around that concept. I don't remember exactly, but it was a really good story. The writing's great, and the plot was really interesting, and it had like a really like cutesy romance considering like the heavy subject matter that this book involves. I have Escaping from Houdini by Carrie Maniscalco. This is the third book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. I received an ARC for this one. Yeah, for A Large Expanse of Sea, A Very Large Expanse of Sea. This is not the cover, like this is the actual cover, but okay. So for Escaping from Houdini, this book basically follows Audrey Rose and this boy, Thomas Cresswell, that was his name. And I don't want to say too much because it'll spoil like the events of like books 1 and 2, but book 3 follows like more of it takes place on a ship, and there's some like magician-y stuff. There's like tarot cards involved. There's like a carnival, and it's like so cool and atmospheric, and like I love these characters, and like I just think these stories are really, really great. And like Stalking Jack the Ripper isn't that great of a book in my opinion, but Hunting Prince Dracula and this one make it so good. So like I would suggest the series just for like books 2 and 3. So I'm really excited for the next book to come out because I believe there's another one coming out. Yeah. I have Heretics Anonymous. This is by Katie Henry. This was a new release of this year. This is a YA contemporary book, and I believe this one follows like an atheist main character, and we follow him as he meets like a bunch of other people. He goes to like a strict Catholic school, which I could relate to because I go to a Catholic school. He also like meets a bunch of people, some that are like super religious, some that are like Catholic, pagan. He's an atheist, things like that. And he meets a lot of different people, and it's just a really funny book, to be honest. And it also gives that cool perspective of like an atheist and like a Catholic relationship and how that kind of works, because he does date like a Catholic girl throughout this book, and you see how like his views don't match with hers, obviously, and how that can cause some conflict. But yes, there's a feminist, there's someone who's gay and Jewish, like there's a lot of like different there's a lot of diversity in this book, and it's really nice, and it talks about friendships and school, and like it's about a bunch of misfits, and it's just so great. This one is a book that I read earlier this year, and that was Retribution Rails by Erin Bowman. So this book is basically the sequel to Vengeance Road, which these are YA westerns that just are YA westerns. I don't know what else to say about them. I can't really explain the exact plot because this is like a companion, but if you like westerns, if you like YA, I would definitely check this out. Super cool covers as well, but these stories are super fun. I love westerns so much, even though I don't read that much of them. But yeah, if there's any more YA westerns out there, like I need to read them, and I need to have them in my life. Like I have Gunslinger Girl that I haven't read yet. That's a YA western, but this was super great. Last two really quick because my camera battery's dying apparently. We have The Apocalypse of Elena Mendoza by Sean David Hutchinson. This is about a girl that could heal people, so it's kind of like the opposite of Shatter Me. So instead of like her touch being lethal, her touch cures someone, and she kind of figures out what she can do with this. And she also like, someone like disappears at one point, and she's like, yikes, what did I do? She also like, objects talk to her, and it's just like a very fantastical, like with kind of a contemporary mix into it. If that's how I think I could describe it best. But the writing's really well done. I loved We Are the Ants. Like last year was one of my favorite books as well. So yeah, this was really good. Lastly, we have one that's probably like closer to the bottom of the list if I were to rate it, but it was super fun, and that is Listen to Your Heart by Casey West. This is, I can best describe it as a podcast romance, and it was super cute and just like a really fun read. And it's basically about, at this school, this girl decides to their class is coming up with a podcast, so she's going to be one of the hosts of this podcast, and it's like an advice podcast, and of course there's a boy involved, and it's about that, and it's so cute. I loved it. Guys, have it. Those were my favorite books of the year 2018. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below and what you read this year. Maybe your top favorite book of the year. Mine would probably be Misery or Frankenstein, because those were like amazing. So yeah, and it's funny because a lot of these like I read earlier in the year, like Frankenstein, 1984, and Misery I read in like the first half of this, like of 2018. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be making, well, it will be made by the time this goes up, but I'm going to be having a channel feedback survey, so be sure to fill that out. I would really, really appreciate it, just for feedback in the new year and how I can improve my channel. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you super soon. Bye.